Okay, so poultices. Most people have only heard of the word. Most people don't know what it is. Some people who are quite into natural medicine, they have an idea of what it is. But today we are going to delve into the very different types of poultices, because a poultice is not just a poultice. So we need to understand the differences, how to use it, and when to use it. We are also going to focus on the onion today. So I'm going to first speak about the onion, and then I'm going to go into poultices. So onions are an amazing kitchen accessory, natural medicine, nutrient-rich food. And onions are made up of these tiny little cells. When you cut it open, you can see it's like segmented type of. So it's made up of these tiny little cells which are filled with sulfur compounds. So that is, when you cut open an onion, these sulfur compounds are released and they then diffuse into the air. When they reach our eyes, they dissolve into the liquid layer over our eyes, the protective layer. And that then goes into our tear ducts. And that then causes irritation and causes our eyes to tear. It is a good thing because it also washes toxins and impurities and everything out from the eyes and the nasal passages. That's why your nose also runs as well. So it is very irritating, and if you have very sensitive eyes like mine, it is terrible because I feel like I was in a romantic, sad, soapy drama because I'm just bawling my eyes out and it won't stop, and it's every time I cut an onion, whether it's small or big, it's like my eyes just tear like crazy. I hate it so much. But at the same time, I'm grateful because it is flushing out the toxins. So it's got an amazing dual effect, right? So how you can actually overcome this type of thing is if you either freeze the onion, because then that compacts the gas, so then when you cut it, it's not as much is released because it's compacted. Also, you can put it under water or have a running tap nearby while you're cutting it, because that then, as the sulfur compounds are, going up into the air, they are dissolved by the water because it's the moisture that causes that dissolving and the eyes crying. So it reaches that water first before it reaches your eyes, so that will also help stop your eyes from tearing as much. Also, the sharper the knife, the better, because it will slice into less of the little cells that there are. So I never realized that the implements that you use actually have scientific reasons behind it. Like the type of knife that you use, the type of steel or metal that it's made of actually has a direct effect or impact. Certain knives bring out more nutrients in food. Others bring out different types of compounds. So it's really amazing. There's a whole science behind it, and just today, the sharper the knife, the better, or at least the less of the compounds are actually released. So try to sharpen your knife as much as possible. So I guess my knives are also very blunt. But yeah, the water story also doesn't work for me, unfortunately, because my eyes are just very sensitive. But I'm sure it will work for most of you, and I'm sure each one of you probably have a story as to what you did, what your mother did, what your grandmother did, those traditions that were passed down to help alleviate. And I hope that it works for you, but for me, unfortunately, no. Now, the active compounds in onion is called allium, and allium is an organosulfur compound. So it also contains quercetin, and quercetin is extremely important for your immune boosting. It It's also good for, fighting whatever types of infections, with cancer as well. Quercetin is very important. I think if you remember when we had COVID, they were saying quercetin is one of the things you need to have, and everybody was going to buy these expensive quercetin tablets, and you could have gotten it in your onion.
How do you spell that?
Sorry?
How do you spell quercetin?
Querci, quercetin, T-I. Okay, it also has vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin E. It's got lots of other nutrients as well that also help with the immune boosting. It helps with your blood pressure, with your heart health. It helps with your liver and your kidneys. It also helps with neurodivergence issues. So that is stuff like schizophrenia or, good morning, come inside. Schizophrenia or Alzheimer's or any of those types of things where your brain sort of becomes affected. Those are the types of things that it also helps with. So they said an apple a day, but actually an onion a day will be much more beneficial. So it also has antibacterial properties, and it's got anti-inflammatory properties. And so onion is also known as a drawer. So it draws out infections, it decongests. So that is why you can use it for a lot of different things. Now the bioactive components in there help with colds and flus. So if you're going to use it for whatever type of cold and flu you have, normally you would slice the onion up and you would put it under your foot at night and maybe either wrap it or put a sock over it, and during the night it will then draw out whatever infection you have in your system. It will draw it out. You can, and that's what I forgot. So you can make it pickled, where you just add vinegar and some salt. You can pickle it as well. That then makes it last for a very long time. It's a preservation method. You can also then make a cough syrup. So at my last workshop, I made a cough syrup, and I was going to bring that and the pickled one, and I think a pickled one I made here. I was going to bring that, but I forgot. Anyway, the cough syrup also helps to decongest your chest whilst bringing out the infection. So it suppresses the cough at the same time as well. So it's really amazing to use as a natural cough syrup. What you do is you slice the onion, you have a layer of onion, and then you put a layer of honey. And honey is also very antimicrobial. And antimicrobial means that you can use it for almost anything that causes illness or sickness or any microbe that causes an issue. That is what you can use honey for. Honey also has amazing other properties that is very healing and nutrifying at the same time. So anyway, you put your layer of onion and you put your layer of honey. If you don't have honey, you can use brown sugar or white sugar, but preferably brown. It won't sort of have as impact as honey would have had, but it will still do the job. So then you just layer it like that until you get to the top of your jar, maybe something like this, and then you would have these layers. The honey will then draw out those active compounds, the quercetin, the allium, and all of those things. It will then draw it out and make a little syrup. And you'll be able to see the syrup forming. For those of you who were here the last time, we told the story about our gardening group, where Natasha was busy facilitating, and then she had this cough that wouldn't stop, and then I just quickly made onion and was it honey or sugar?
No, we used honey. Yes.
Honey, little bit for her, and then it just stood a few minutes, and as the syrup was created, so to say, she then just had a spoon and that cough was gone. And that cough was bad. And the cough was gone, and it was just 1 teaspoon, and that can last up to a year, sometimes two, in the fridge. You can also add thyme if you want to, because thyme is also very good for respiratory problems. And then whatever else you want to add to it, but onion and honey is the base of that natural cough mixture, and it really is amazing. It also helps when you don't have money, because cough mixtures are very expensive. It also is a nice alternative to an alcohol-based cough mixture.
Do you strain it?
Now, well, you can if you want to, but you don't have to. So, because the honey will preserve the onion itself anyway, because honey is a natural preservative. So, the onion won't become moldy or go off. So, it will be fine as is, but if you prefer, you can then strain it into a separate bottle as an actual cough mixture. It is up to you how you want to use it.
Cindy, I was looking for that recipe for the cough syrup, and then someone gave it to me, and then somewhere there was a little bit of a mix up. But I also added like the same amount of apple cider vinegar to the honey with the thyme, and I was really battling with a cough. Like my husband wanted me to go to the doctor, and I said no, I don't want to go to the doctor. So then he bought me Vicks Active Plus, and I didn't want to take it, so I was force-fed the Vicks Active Plus, and the cough was even worse. And then I made that recipe. Apparently I wasn't supposed to put in apple cider vinegar, but I did. And listen, 2 days later the cough was gone.
That's a beautiful point. So, in our elixir workshop, we sort of covered that. So, that is called an oxymel. It was the very first type of medicine that was made, and the Greeks actually discovered it or made it, invented it. An oxymel is when you mix honey, half part honey and half part apple cider vinegar. And that then is like you can use it as a cough mixture, you can use it as a poultice, you can use it as an elixir for, just immune boosting, whatever it is, whatever you put in, that will determine what you're using it for. For example, if you're going to be using thyme and onions and so forth, you'd probably use it for your chest. If you are going to be use it just for immune boosting, maybe you'll put elderberry or something like that in. So it depends on what herb you actually put in there. That is called an oxymel. And that you can also do. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a cough syrup, but it also does the job because
it really like it, like when you've got that hacking cough and you cough and you want stuff to come out but nothing comes out. Like I was literally struggling with it for more than 3 weeks, like maybe more than a month.
Yes.
And then I took it, and then it almost felt worse before it got better, which I do understand. That's our natural medicine. And 48 hours later, it was clear. I could not believe it.
Wonderful.
Because if you go to the doctor, it costs you $500 plus.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Red or white onion?
It doesn't matter. So the difference between these two is this is used more in salads and so forth. It has a sweeter taste, but the yellow onion, the sulfur compounds in here are more intense. So this you would use more medicinally, and this you would use more culinary. But this is a lot more expensive because that's, they use it for, especially vinegars and stuff like that, to give it that sweet taste type of thing. Then the next thing that you can use onion for is an ear infection. And I just want to show you. So Basically, you don't need a lot when you are making something like for an ear infection. So with an ear infection, you would have a lot of pain in your ear, and sometimes it goes down to the jaw. And all you have to do, thank you. All you have to do is I don't know what kind of knife this is. Slice it up. Cut.
You could
It's
bite
gonna release a lot
bite
of
it
compounds. Okay, so something like this is called like a ginger crusher. You can use something like this, and then you can put this in there. And then you would maybe get a little jar or something, and you would crush it, and then you see the juice coming out. Okay, for a rudimentary way, you can first steam or heat the onion in the microwave. It will then be soft, and then squeeze the juice out. So this little juice you will then warm either over the through steaming or in the microwave. Once it's warm, you take a syringe and then you extract it and then you put it in your ear. First do a test to see the temperature, if it's okay, because you don't want to burn your ear, because that happened to me. And then you would extract it and put it in the ear, and then you would put cotton wool in. So at the moment I have an ear infection. It actually stems from a tooth issue that I'm currently having, and because I also, you know, food doctors and things, so and it's a good thing because I then can try all these different natural remedies to prove that it does work. So I'm grateful for when things do happen. So the ear, you would then heat up the compounds and then you would put it in your ear, and then like after a few, it will feel very soothing, but after a little while you feel okay, it's starting to work nicely now. Sometimes that doesn't work. Like one time I had this ear infection and it just was not helping. It was just getting worse, and because I think I used it for like 5 days and it just wasn't, you know, working, which is weird because it normally really works well. And then what I did was I cut up some garlic, and garlic is a natural antibiotic, and I put that in some olive oil, heated it up, and then into the ear. So that is what I did now, and it seems to be helping with the infection, but this infection went into my lymph nodes. So my underarm was swollen, and then my skin was itching, and it was feeling like it was choking because my lymph nodes were swollen. And so then what, and I woke up yesterday morning like that, and then what I did was I made a lymph tea. So I used various things that help to move your lymph, because your lymph doesn't have like a pump to make it move. So remember the last time we did that exercise where you jump up and down, that then opens up your lymph portals in order for it to release the toxins. And also in your calf is your second heart, that also helps with the pumping of the lymph. But also at night between 10 and 3, that is when you need to sleep, because that is when the different cycles in your body resets. And so the lymphatic system is one of those cycles that resets and where it releases the toxins from the body.
What you take the malva leaf for earache in your ear?
Yes, malva leaf you can also use for earache, because it also has not antibiotic but antibacterial sort of properties, so you can use that also. You can same thing, try to squeeze out the juice. But for like a leaf thing, you would pound it either in a pestle and mortar or with a rock or something, just to get some of that juice out, because there's not a lot of juice in there. It's not a fat leaf, it's a very thin leaf. And then that you would maybe warm up or put it just as is in your ear. That's also what you can do. And so back to my situation. I made a tea. I put some Artemisia afra in, and I put some dandelion in, and some echinacea and lemon balm. Those are also known for lymphatic, to open up the lymphatic portals and movement and assistance and so forth. So I made that tea, and I also then made a poultice. I first did a bath, a rinse. So I put bicarbonate of soda with some oregano, because oregano is a natural antibiotic. And then I put, and the bicarb cleans the area and it detoxifies as well. And it alkalinizes the area as well. So I cleaned it with that, just to draw out some of the and detoxify the area, and then I put the poultice on, and the poultice I also made from the different herbs with a little bit of flaxseed in there and slippery elm,
So
to
why
bring it all
flaxseed?
together.
Why flaxseed? Why flaxseed?
Because flaxseed creates a gel-like substance.
Oh, so it's
So
just
you want to
for the
bind it,
texture.
yes. So sort of brings it together, but not a lot.
No,
Just
because I
very
make
little.
ghee gel with the flaxseed. That's why.
Yes, yes, you can do that also, yes. It's a natural hair gel, yeah. And you can also use it as a mask on your face to boost your collagen and so forth. Anyway, and so that has helped me a lot since yesterday. So these are the different things. Don't be scared to try new or natural remedies. It does take a little longer than your Western medicine, but it does work.
But
I-
with zero side effects.
Yes, with zero side effects. It has, most herbs have secondary metabolites, which also then aid in other processes as well. So it doesn't just fix the problem, it can assist with other things at the same time. Okay, so now poultices. What is a poultice actually? A poultice is actually where you are using soft, moist, herbal or plant material, and you, or any other natural material that you are using. So either plant or something natural. And then you apply it directly to the skin. Now this normally is used to either soothe, calm, draw out, or assist with whatever's happening at the point of sight. So you would use it for various different reasons, and then you get different types of poultices for the different types of things. Now you would, after you've put the ingredients on the skin, you normally put it directly onto the skin. You would then put a cloth around it. That is the general concept of a poultice. So you would take a cloth like this, and you would put some, let's say, onions on there and on the skin, and then you would wrap this. That is what a poultice actually is. Okay, so what are the categories of poultices that you get? You get warm poultices, and this is normally used to increase circulation. It's also used for calming and swelling, if you have. You get fomentation. Now fomentation is also a concept where you are just using cloths. So it also forms part of what you call hydrotherapy, which is just how you use water to heal. That's what hydrotherapy is. So fomentation is both a poultice and it is a hydrotherapy mechanism. It is very hot. It's always very hot and moist. and you normally would use a decoction. So a decoction is when you take herbs or something or plant material and you boil it in a pot, not where you like the tea, which is an infusion. And a tea, you don't use direct boiling water. You just let it cool down just a little, and then you steep the herbs or whatever, and then you let it stand 10 to 15 minutes. A decoction normally you use for like your roots and your harder parts of the plant. An infusion would be your leaves and your flowers and stuff like that. And the reason why you don't use water that was just boiled is because it can denature some of the vitamins and nutrients in the plant, in the leaf or so forth. But a decoction normally is where you want to get almost everything out of the plant, and that is why it is normally only for the roots and the woods and the stems and the harder parts, or thicker leaves and so forth, because it's more difficult to get the nutrients and stuff out of there. So a longer boiling time, it's normally like 4 to 6 hours, depending on what it is you want to use it for or how you are going to use it. That will determine the time you are actually boiling it. That's the general concept of a decoction. But decoction mainly is you are boiling the stuff, okay, versus infusion, no boiling. Okay, so a fomentation is where you then take the decoction, the stuff that you have now boiled, and then you put it with a poultice, and then you put it on the affected area. If it is that you are using it for hydrotherapy, and you can either soak the cloth in that decoction water as well, and then use the stems or whatever in there, put it on. So a fomentation normally is where the cloth is wet. Okay. So with hydrotherapy, for example, if you are going to help someone with cancer and you want to alkalinize the area, so you want to create a more alkaline environment, you would then use bicarbonate of soda because it's very alkaline. You would soak your towel or cloth in there, hot water, and then wring it out, and that you would put on the area, for example. That is also fomentation, but fomentation is where you put the cloth on and then you cover it with another cloth and then you put plastic over it to keep the heat in. So that is what you also will do with your hydrotherapy. It's the same type of concept, but it's what you are using and what you are using it for.
Didn't you see like my nephew, grandson actually, somebody hurt him and he was crying, so I said to the mommy, she took him to the doctor, but before he went, I picked from that olieblaren and put it around it with a flannel tied and a beanbag over it. And so she still took him to the doctor, and then the doctor took very long, and the mommy wanted to rush him to emergency. So on the way, she said, "No, Mama, the doctor took too long. Nana's quicker, better." So last time again, so Nana again the pain. Yes, ma'am, but it's right now to go pick the leaves. So he said, "Take my hand, brother." I said, "Okay." So I'm going to pick it up. Did the same thing, but I put a little sauce of a picker on the leaf and home it and again in the beanbag. So I said, much better now than that.
Wonderful, excellent story. So yes, that's another story of how you can use the castor leaf and put it directly on. That is also another form of a poultice, and this you can use with very big leafed plants like castor or cabbage. So if you have inflammation, you would take a cabbage leaf or castor plant leaf, depending on what. Well, castor you can use for almost anything. And then you would put it on the area and just use something to tie it down.
So just a relief of a 7-year-old child, stuff.
Yes. Now it's wonderful. You must get them into this.
And wormwood.
Depends on what you are using it for, because wormwood Artemisia afra is very strong. So you don't just want to use it for something that you could use something milder for it, but you can. Yes. Okay. So then another thing, a compress is very similar to fomentation. It's also where you soak the actual cloth that you are going to use. You soak it in the either decoction or if you may be out in the field or something and you're going to use plantain, you would crush it and the juice you would then soak the cloth in there and then put it on. But a compress is normally cold. So it is the cold, moist ingredients on the cloth. Fomentation is the hot ingredients on the skin. So that's the difference between the two. And then you get a liniment. Now a liniment technically is not a poultice, but it's the same type of concept because a liniment you use alcohol and you would then take your, like a tincture type of concept. So for example, you can take sage, or let's take yarrow. Yarrow helps with blood clotting and so forth. So say you've cut your finger now and you would take some yarrow and you'd take some alcohol and you'd let it stand a little and draw it out. Especially if it's fresh, you can draw it out much quicker. Sorry, you would then let it draw out and then you would put that mixture, you can strain it, and then that mixture you would rub onto the skin itself, and then you would put the cloth over it, and then you can put some heat on it, either a beanbag or a hot water bottle or something like that. So that is what you would maybe use for swollen ankles or sprains or something like that. That's how you can use a liniment. And the reason also for that is because alcohol draws out, robustly draws out the ingredients. Water doesn't draw out a lot of compounds actually. So alcohol does. So that is why tinctures are preferred because they are more potent. But if you don't use tinctures because of the alcohol, and tinctures is what you consume, but a liniment is topical, so it's fine. You can use a tincture topically, like maybe a comfrey tincture, but tinctures you normally would consume, it's a very concentrated thingy. So also in labs, when they are making plant extractions for whatever, they would use different types of alcohol, ethanol, methanol, all these different things to extract the active compounds because it gets a lot of them or most of them out of the plant. So there's more that's available to you. They call it bioavailability. So there's more of that. But again, like I said, it depends on what you're using it for, what the problem is, and so forth. So if you have sprained your ankle and you want like serious immediate relief, because the alcohol will be drawing out most of the compounds, it obviously will be able to give more compounds than just a water solution would have given you, or the plant itself on top, which would take longer to get into the bloodstream, whereas the alcohol would happen much more quicker. So that is the type of scenario that you would use a liniment for.
Cindy, with the alcohol, would you first macerate the plant material and then pour on the alcohol?
Yes, so like we mentioned in our elixir workshop, if it is dried, you need to rehydrate it. So you first need to then put it in water so that it can swell up with the moisture so that the actives can be more bioavailable. But if it is an actual plant, you would then macerate it, which just means crushing, cutting, so that you are exposing the compounds, and that you can then add to the alcohol. The finer you cut it or the more you crush it, the better. Questions so far?
So if you don't have pure alcohol at home, and you
Can you
use the
use
medicine, and any of the commercial drinks they use like white spirits, vodka, gin, and those things, it's a waste of white
But
spirit.
you must use a good one. A good.
Yes, it must be a good 70% preferably.
Yeah.
When I did alcohol extractions for tinctures, I always used vodka. That is the preferred one.
Yes,
Is that
that is
The
the
most,
preferred.
yeah.
But again, you're not using it for a tincture, you're using it for a liniment, so it doesn't
For the
matter
liniment, yeah.
what type of alcohol, but obviously the higher the percentage, the better it will be.
And glycerin, same thing would not.
Yeah.
Yes, glycerin is what you use instead of alcohol, but that is for ingestion. So you would use a glycerin, it's called a glycerite, instead of a tincture if you are opposed to alcohol. The only difference is that a glycerite would be sweeter. Children can use glycerites, and the shelf life is 5 years, 5 to 6 years, whereas an alcohol tincture is long, almost indefinitely.
Do you think technology has changed using all this thing for your limbs being hurt and your ankles, but they use the ultra red light now.
Yes,
Which
red light therapy is very important.
yeah, which
It's very good.
is not expensive. If we can do other things in life, I think we can put away money and buy that. That light is so effective that it will make the process quicker.
Yes, that's very
So you
true.
just keep that light on your stiff neck with tight knots and those things. You put that light on there and it will shine on there and you can feel the heat, how it
Yes.
loosens the thing.
Yes, infrared lighting is a therapy that they use
Yeah, that
more
is-
frequently now. It mimics what a candle flame or the sun does for the body, but just more concentrated, so to say. That's the concept of how it basically works.
I think like I like a comfrey extract, but then it must stand for 6 weeks in the olive oil. But if you want a quick process, then you can boil it over a slow period of 8 hours.
That's correct.
And withdraw that, and then I add like beeswax and vitamin E. Yeah, and then I make a ointment, a comfrey ointment,
Yeah.
like a salt. And I made with my brother, yeah, this so like pain, and then I will rub it up, and then a nurse had an accident, and her eyes were swollen, and he offered to promote the product, and it like helped her, like
Yes.
the bruises.
Wonderful.
Because I said it takes like if you got arthritis, it's joint pain, and it's a bone thing infecting.
Yes, yes. Absolutely, that is a lovely what you do. Comfrey is called the nut bone herb because it has cell regenerative properties. So at a cellular level, it will regenerate any type of cell. That's why it's very good for bones, bone healing. I think the last time I told you a story about a lady, or at least this lady was telling the story, where someone cut their finger off and they couldn't find the finger, and then they just dipped it in comfrey all the time and hydrogen peroxide, and the whole finger grew back. Because it's regenerative, cell regenerative, because everything's made from cells. So it can literally grow back everything and anything. The only thing with comfrey is limit your consumption because it can aggravate your mucosal layer in your stomach. So it can maybe, if you have too much, it can adversely affect your GTI. And comfrey you would use more for wound healing topically. Not so much very deep scarring. First you would want to heal from the inside out, and then, because it does, it minimizes the scarring a lot. So comfrey is really one of those amazing plants. Okay. Right, so now the different types of, those are the categories, right, that poultices fall under. Then you get the main types of poultices. The first one is your herbal poultice, which is where you use your plant material. And then you also get two types. So you would get your plant material that you would then use a cloth and wrap it, right? The general poultice. But then you also get something like this. This is called pinda or pontli. So pontli, I think, is the Thai version, and pinda is the Ayurvedic version. So this is where you have a layer of cloth. You open it up. I'll show you later how to do it. You open it up, the cloth, and you put your herbal mixture in there. Then you close it and you put another layer around it, and then you just wrap it up with some string. So this helps a lot for muscle problems. They also use this a lot for massaging and so forth. So once you've done that, you can then either boil this, put this directly into the water and boil it, and then once it comes out, you then use it hot, or you can steam it and use it hot on wherever you're going to use it. So this is called a pinda or pontli. Okay, and also you get the different types of herbal poultices. You get where you would use maybe your dry herbs, or you would use an oil, like your herbs that's in your oil already, or you can use the plant itself, where you would then crush it either in a pestle and mortar or with the stone or whatever the case may be, and that plant material you would put directly onto the area, then cover it with the cloth and wrap it with your plastic or cellophane or whatever. The next you get is a potato poultice. Now a potato has tissue regenerating properties. So you use potato for anything that is a tissue. You can use it for eye infections, you can use it for swelling, for burns, for wounds, for anything. It also has a cooling effect. I once watched it was a herbal show, and this guy was saying he got 3-degree burns and he healed it completely just using potato. And so it helped significantly with not just the healing and skin regeneration, but also the scarring. And obviously it gave him a very cooling effect. That's what he used. And so you would use it for swollen joints, for swollen skin, for headaches. I don't know if you, some people say their grandmothers used to have potato on their foreheads for after drinking as a bubbleous remedy type of thing. But it can be used for headache, so it will draw it out sort of, but basically it will help with the inflammation that is happening in the tissue itself. Okay, the next thing you can use is a clay poultice. So you can use any type of, well, most clays that you would use for these types of things. So it can be your bentonite clay, you get brown clays, you get pink clays, you get white clays, you get different types of clays for different things. But the one most commonly used is your bentonite clay. So you could use that, where you would put a little in a bowl with a little water, and you would just see how much water you need to use depending on how much of the clay you are using. Because you don't want it to be watery, it needs to be like a paste, a thickish paste. Because you don't want any leaking or anything with the poultice. So that you will use for stuff like splinters, anything you want to draw out. Toxins, you can also use it for boils especially. That is also very good for that. Then you get a salt poultice. This you would use a mineral salt or Epsom salts for. Now this partly I made from salt and sage. And this would be used for maybe sore muscles, for example. So it would fuse with whatever herb you are adding to it. If you are adding a herb, you don't need to, because the Epsom salts or the mineral salt, and your mineral salt could be coarse sea salt or Himalayan salt or Celtic salt. And that is because the amount of nutrients in there is such a lot, and it is what your body needs. So a lot of the time why our muscles are sore is because we don't have enough magnesium or enough salts, or we've lost a lot of electrolytes. So then a salt poultice would help, especially at night when you have those leg cramps and so forth. You just make one of these, and every time you want to use it, you can just heat it up and then put it over, massage it over the area where it is sore.
What's the good of poison salt, because it's more expensive than normal salt?
I think it's just the name. As in, why it's more
Because they
expensive?
say they're naturally
Yeah, so
Harvested.
I think it is, it has quite a few of the nutrients and minerals that our body needs, but not as much as Himalayan salt or Celtic salt, for example. It's like sea salt has nutrients and minerals, but it doesn't have as much as Himalayan or Celtic salt. Also because of pollution and all of those things. Having said that, sea moss has 92 of the 102 minerals and nutrients that your body does need. So if you have sea moss powder, you could also then use that. But generally you want a thick rock salt, because that retains heat very well. At my last workshop, there was a little explosion. And then we just use salt. And we obviously starved it of air, we put a tin over it, and we use some salt, and then it died. So if ever you're having a fire or anything like that, use salt, preferably rock salt, because it will starve the oxygen, but it will also stop and absorb some of the heat of the flame. So that's why you get, like with these massages, you get salt massages, and you get all different types, because salt has healing properties because of all the nutrients and minerals in it. Not table salt. Table salt is very toxic for you. There's only two nutrients in there, and together they are toxic. But if you have something like the coarse sea salt or Himalayan or Celtic, maybe the Kalahari, I haven't looked into it yet, so I don't know where they're harvested to be able to understand what the nutrients value in there is. But the more nutrients and minerals that it has, the better it is for you, because it will then be replacing your body's, or giving your body nutrients and minerals at a cellular level that you need for your cells to function properly.
Sorry, how do you heat the salt? Steam.
Yes, so like I said, you would either boil, this is a salt poultice, you can either boil it or
just
preferably steam it, because you don't also want it to melt. So just be careful how you are making it, but preferably steam it, or put it in the microwave. It will then heat, and then you can use it.
So what's the effect of Shilajit with all the salts? Is Shilajit better?
Yeah, that's a whole other workshop. Silage has such a lot of minerals and nutrients that is very
But is it
good.
a negative thing, a good thing? What?
It's a very good thing.
A very good thing.
Yeah.
In small quantities, or how do you take it?
It's power packed and very concentrated, so you just need small quantities.
Cindy, I remember many years back, my mother, I don't know if she had a stroke or what, her face was skew like so. So my father boiled this that salt, that coarse salt, and then we had to put it every time here in her face, and she never had a scar after that.
Wow.
Never ever.
But yes, salt really works. You can also use salt in, like the last workshop that I had, we did a kitchen, sort of a kitchen first aid box. So just using the staples in your kitchen as your first aid kit. Your onion, your potato, your ginger, turmeric and so on. And one of them is salt and sugar. Salt you can pack a wound with. You can like saline with salt. Because basically when you call an ambulance, they put you on a drip. That drip is a saline drip, which just is salt. And it's just giving you the electrolytes, nutrients and all of that into your body, that because at the cellular level that's how your body functions. It needs that to work properly. So whatever the problem is, it will then be able to help it because it's got all the nutrients and minerals that it needs to function properly. So saline, you can make your own saline, you can make your own wound healing, antiseptic, whatever. Using salt, I know back in the day when babies were born, they used to rub them with salt. That was also to disinfect or to just give them, you know, what you needed. Salt is very healing, but it also cleans out a lot of the bacteria and stuff like that.
Cindy, that's what you had from that church. So opposite neighbor found, because he found dizzy, and I took time to put it under his tongue. So afterwards he told me, Linda, that stuff that you put under my tongue, it out.
Wow, wonderful! That's amazing. Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
Okay,
That
so
is one.
so at the workshop I'm talking about, she was there and her neighbor fell and was dizzy and everything, and she used the cayenne pepper and put it under his tongue like she had learned in the workshop. And he said whatever it is that you did really helped because he was fine after that. So praise God.
You know, our grandparents used to use all these remedies, and we used to think it's mumbo jumbo, but it's only now that we learn about the value of these things, and now we have discarded the Western things, and we are back to basics and
Yes, I mean,
indigenous.
if you just think about it, for thousands of years, all they had was the natural remedies.
Yes.
And Western medicine only came like late 1800s, early 1900s, you know. So if that worked for humankind for so many years, it should be working.
And as youngsters, we used to laugh at this olie lap of a olie blaar. That's rubbish. But now we've
And now
embraced all these
yes,
things.
now the science behind it is coming out.
You see, after you know the science
Yes,
behind
yes,
it.
exactly.
But salt is like an excellent thing because growing up we played a sport under Sakos and they advertised that thing that you must be using salt after every game.
Yes.
And I can vouch for that because I played rugby for years and you just have a salt bath and after that your muscles is right, you feel it again. Sunday you can go practice again.
Yes.
It takes away the bruises, it relaxes the muscle and everything.
Yeah.
And it was so a simple thing, I mean, it was preached like the gospel, it was preached to players, go have a salt bath. And it worked.
It worked, yes. So that is why you must try to drink salt with your water if you drink water. Because the salt has 3 magnesiums that your cell needs to pull the water in. If you don't have those magnesiums, your cell is not getting the water in order to function, and if it's not getting the water, it can't get the nutrients and minerals that the water brings into the cell. So the one magnesium will unlock the cell, the other one will pull the water and the nutrients in, and the other one will kickstart the cellular process. So please always drink either Himalayan salt or Celtic salt with your water, so that you have optimal vitality, that your cells are working at the cellular function, and you'll feel a lot better, you won't have so many aches and pains, your health will generally be better.
In very small quantities, otherwise you'll get high blood.
No, actually, high blood pressure only comes from table salt, because of those two salts that are toxic. And it's potassium and sodium, and our bodies have, especially with blood pressure, it has the sodium potassium pump, and so when you have too much of the one, it increases, and that pushes up the pressure of the cell, or that the cell is having, and that then causes the high blood pressure. But if you are having your salt that has all or most of the 102 nutrients and minerals that your cell needs to function, which Celtic salt has 94, Himalayan salt has 72 of those 102 minerals, then your cell is getting what it needs to function properly, and actually it will lower your blood pressure if you have blood pressure issues, because now it's getting all the nutrients to work properly, and what it needs to, how it needs to function, that's what it's getting. So the type of salt is very important, very important.
Sunday, I think Debbie needs to share something.
No, I'm just saying with the moms, with the delivery, when they have the episiotomies, the cuts, then we also put them in the salt
I
bath.
just said that, yeah, after childbirth.
Yes, because it wounds,
Yes, because it binds
and pulls
to
everything back into place and heals and all of that. Right, so then the next thing that you do, also something that is like an ancient remedy, is a mustard poultice. And mustard is for the chest. Any type of respiratory issue, you would use mustard for that. So you'd make a little mustard paste and you put it on the chest. However, mustard can burn the skin and cause irritation. So you need to leave it on for a very short while, or just be careful how you are using it, because it can burn the skin.
So with that,
I would say put castor oil on first,
As a
and
barrier.
then as a barrier, and then the mustard. The castor oil also help it draw in deeper into the chest. Then the next thing and that will also help with the congestion, and it will decongest, and it will draw out infection as well. But you would use that for like intense issues like whooping cough and those types of things. Otherwise you can just use onion as your poultice. Oh, this I didn't mention. Or did I mention it? When you make an onion poultice for the chest, you would chop the onion up, heat it in your microwave or steam it, and then put it on your chest. So when it was COVID, my uncle had a very bad cough, and I did that, and the cough drew out. And you can reheat that same onion up to 3 days. Only you must just watch it. When it becomes slimy, then you stop. But you can use it up until that time. So up to 3 days, you can reheat the same onion over and over, and just put it on the chest. It will decongest and draw out the infection and everything. So you can use that instead of the mustard. But mustard is more for like very deep chest issues, very intense issues, not your normal flus and
What
coughs.
about pneumonia or bronchitis?
Yes, yes.
would you
On
use
that
the
note,
powder or the
Cindy.
mustard leaf?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Either
Is it
or.
I just wanted to say on that note, my sister had COVID, and she was grunting like a kitten.
But she just didn't want to go to hospital. And by the third day, she was really, there was just no air going in. And then I had this onion recipe from a Buddha lady from the Dar store. And I did the onion, and I must tell you people, I did the onion, I didn't do it with the honey for the cough mixture, and I did the detox. I put it in the bridge of the foot and wrapped it, and my sister just miraculously.
Wow.
Miraculously, and then I shared it with a guy that during COVID had heart issues and he was diabetic. And he said it was the first time that he could stand on his feet and live out. So I really want to reiterate the onion is a wonder.
Amazing.
It's a wonder.
Wow, what an amazing
Yes.
story.
Yeah, I mean she normally your sex is 100%, no, we are alive. But I mean she was sitting at 68, 70. She was ice cold, grunting. And I'm telling you that onion, obviously with prayer as well,
Yes.
mustn't forget that. The prayer is very important, but the onion, I want to encourage you, it's very good.
Wow.
Even for detoxing at night, sleeping with it under the feet.
Thank you.
Very good.
Do you think it would help with gout?
With
Yes, onion can help with gout. However, gout is more of a uric acid problem. So you would want to alkalinize the area. So
Bicarb.
use more of the bicarb, but also you need to drink it as well.
As well, yes.
Because you want to break up the uric acid crystals.
So you would have that just with water, the bicarbs?
Yes, just a quarter teaspoon.
Quarter
But more the soaking as well, so you get it from both sides. Okay, then you get a turmeric poultice. Turmeric is anti-inflammatory. There's curcumin in it. And curcumin is really an amazing active ingredient. However, curcumin can only be activated by pepperin. And pepperin is the active ingredient in pepper. All kind of pepper also has pepperin, but preferably black pepper, because the pepperin in black pepper is stronger. So you just need a pinch of black pepper to activate the curcumin in your turmeric. Otherwise, your turmeric is just boring. It will have no effect whatsoever. So you need to unlock the curcumin in order for it to be bioavailable, so that you can use it. And this you would use for any inflammation, arthritis, help with the gout pain. You can use it for boils as well. Any skin inflammation, you can use a turmeric poultice.
Well, it's good for cold sores. Cold sores.
Yes, you can, but cold sores is a different type of virus. So cold sore, I would say use sour fig, the leaf. Put that on there because it has lysine in it. Lysine is what actually heals cold sores. Okay, so the next thing is the comfrey poultice, and I think we did speak a bit in depth about the comfrey. Broken bones, strains, and those types of things. You use the comfrey poultice, so you can either use the plant itself, chop it up and put it directly on there, or you can use a comfrey oil and then wrap it up. It is up to you how you want to use it. The next thing is a flower poultice, and this is also a really ancient remedy. And this is what a lot of mothers used to use when they had no medicine whatsoever. So what the flower does is you make it into a little paste and it sticks onto the skin. They used to put it on the skin or in wounds. It draws out whatever infection or toxin or whatever, and it stops bleeding. But it does it mildly. So that is like if you have nothing else, that will also work, but it won't work as well as one of the others.
So
But
flour as in meal, flour
Yes.
as in meal. Meal.
meal,
Okay.
yes.
I thought
No, not a flower. Flower. Okay, flower. Yes. The next thing is the linseed poultice. So as we briefly mentioned before, linseed is used for smoothing because it creates a gel-like substance which helps with irritation and also swelling and abscesses and sores. So that helps with those types of things. It will coat and soothe it whilst healing or inflamed areas. So you can also use it as a mask, as I mentioned, but if you have rosacea or something like that, linseed oil will also work. The next thing is bread poultice. So you basically just take bread, wet it, and mash it. I see some heads of bobbies, a very old.
Any blousel daar by nie? You don't have
Oh, I didn't know that part, but okay. So basically, bread you can either wet it with milk or with water. Preferably milk because it will have more of a calming effect on the skin. But bread poultice you would use the same as you would flour, so it would help with inflammation, redness, infection, it would draw it up. So flour or bread you would use if you have absolutely nothing else, and it doesn't matter if it's old. So whether there's mold on it or, actually keep your old for situations like that. You never know when you might just need to throw out an infection or something. Sorry. You get your fingers like on the side of your nail, all of a sudden there's pus and it's swelling and it's so sore, you can't even use your hand and you don't know why. And use that type of thing. If you have nothing else for it, use your flour, use your bread in situations like that. It should help. Then you get a charcoal poultice. Now charcoal is an amazing thing, and a lot of people actually don't know about activated charcoal. They only know about your charcoal from your fire. Activated charcoal is charcoal that is put through a process. So how you make charcoal is you take wood, untreated, clean wood, and you would maybe put it in a tin, and you put some holes in the tin. You would then put it either in a kiln or you would create like a little oven type of scenario. You would dig a hole in the ground and you would put wood all around it, and you put it like deep in this hole, and then you would cover it with more wood and you would light it and cover it with sand or whatever. So you're creating like this ball of fire around it. So that is how you make the charcoal. Then once it's now charred, the wood, you would then crush it and wash it, dry it out, and then you throw either citric acid or lemon juice on, and that is the activation process to make it called what you call activated charcoal. And then that you would dry out. You can rinse it again or not, but the dry powder is then what you would use. So activated charcoal is like, it's called adsorption. So absorption we know is like a sponge. It will absorb moisture until it's full, then it will seep out. But adsorption is like sellotape. Sellotape,
Yes.
I can't find this in now. Anyway, you can pick up dust and lint and all types of stuff because it sticks onto the surface. So there's thousands of grains in 1 teaspoon of charcoal. Each of those grains have millions and millions of facets like a diamond. It's got lots and lots of edges, millions. And each of those edges act like this. Things just stick on it. So that is why it is used for toxins. The toxins and all of those things stick on here. So that is why you only need a very little for it to still be effective. They use it for alcohol poisoning in hospitals. You can use it for food poisoning, for alcohol poisoning, for any type of toxin that there is, mosquito bite, a wasp bite, any bee sting, anything, snake bite, spider bite, you can use activated charcoal. So I don't know if I told the story, probably did, but I had a toxic spider bite. And at first I didn't know it was a spider bite, it was just itching profusely, and I thought, but it's winter, why is there mosquitoes? But okay, because fleas don't bite me, I don't know. So it was itching and itching and itching, and the itching just wouldn't stop. Anyway, the next day, the evening, my breath started, my chest started closing. I was struggling to breathe, and I was getting heart palpitations, and they call it a bull's eye. So you have the little dot where they bit you, and then it's white around that, and then red around that. So it looks like this bull's eye, and it was all over my arm, and my arm, the rest of my arm was like swollen. And so I researched, and they said when your chest is closing, you need to go to the hospital immediately because you can die. So, and I was like, no, Lord, help me, give me the wisdom. But I, firstly, don't have money, and secondly, I want to try the natural remedy. So what I did was I took charcoal, and I first bathed it. So I made a little bath with charcoal, oregano as my antibiotic, and some tea tree oil in there, and I soaked it for 10 minutes. Then I drank some charcoal with oregano as a tea, as an antibiotic, and also as to draw out the toxin. And then I made a poultice where I just mixed charcoal with oregano and tea tree oil. And I didn't have a cloth, I used a sanitary pad. You can use sanitary pads, you can use kimbis, you can use anything as a poultice. And that is what I put on my arm. And after a while, my breathing came back, my heart palpitations stopped, and I just kept on doing this 3 times a day. The next day, my arm was lame and painful, but at least I didn't have chest problems, my heart rate was fine. I just continued doing this. The next day, my arm was like rubber, but it wasn't paining anymore, it was fine, I could move it, it just looked like rubber. Thick, swollen, dark, rubbery, and then it started forming these little blisters. Okay? And then I went to sit outside in the sun until the blisters dried up. And then I put aloe on directly from the plant. And then I left it open to dry, and by day 5, everything was gone. So I survived a toxic spider bite. It is possible. Charcoal is amazing. Oregano as an antibiotic is amazing, and I just use the herb that you use when you cook. So use what you have in your kitchen. They really do work. I'm a living testament to that. And I just have small, like you can't even see it, the scars. It's just slightly darker than my normal skin color, but otherwise you would never say that I had a toxic spider bite that most people die from. So don't be afraid to try these natural medicines. They actually do work.
And Cindy, even some people that do get to time, like they make it on time to hospital, and they get like an anti-venom or whatever it is. A lot of them, after the fact, they still have like necrosis, where they got holes in their limbs, where it like eats away at the tissue. So the fact that you didn't even suffer necrosis is a very big testament.
Yes, absolutely. God was amazing. But it also just proves how amazing His herbs and things that He gave us for healing is. At the moment, South Africa has a shortage. Well, not a shortage, they have no antivenom. From May, I think. And it's a big problem. So if anybody is bitten by a snake or stung by a spider, the hospital can't help you, unfortunately. But now you know what to do, and you can survive, and you can be okay. So spread the word, please.
So you said there's a shortage of venom.
Antivenom.
I wonder who was stealing that.
Now, so remember we had a very hot summer, and the snakes were coming out of every orifice that they could. They were in people's homes, they were just everywhere. So I think a lot of people were bitten, and I don't think that they could make enough to compensate for the amount. I don't know, but there's a shortage.
Now they were stealing.
Why would you steal?
They steal it because I can't steal it.
I healed
Because
a
I
toxic, sorry, I healed a toxic spider bite and several since then using grated raw potato. So it completely draws and regenerates. And sometimes I use charcoal at that stage, I don't know why. But just potato, and it's been amazing.
Wonderful.
On and on.
Another remedy and testament to these natural remedies.
Easily available. You've got it.
Spider bite.
Yes.
Spider bite.
She said that she had a spider bite and healed it with using potato.
Grated raw potato. As a poultice. I've done it with hundreds of people since then, and no scars, nothing. But there's similar symptoms to you: paralysis, lack of breathing. It's the same thing that happens to a little insect in a web, you know, because the spider paralyzes it, doesn't kill it, and wraps it, and you have terrible sort of dreams. It's a terrible experience, actually.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, the last one is. Sorry, I finished charcoal.
Yes. But you can also buy the charcoal.
So with charcoal, you can use as is. You just add a little water, not a lot. You just want to make it a little paste. What you can also do is you can add linseed to it. Linseed will make it not the same thing. Is it? Linseed, flaxseed, same thing. It will make it gel together and not be as messy, because charcoal can be very messy, and to get it out is very difficult, out of clothes and stuff like that. So that's what you can do. And then the last thing that I want to say is spider webs. Spider webs you can use as a poultice. You can use it as wound healing. It has vitamin K. You can use it for burns, for cuts, for wounds. They used to use it. The Roman soldiers used to use it on the battlefield. So they used to have jars with spider webs in it. So it is antiseptic. It is antifungal. It has vitamin K in it, which heals. It also has blood clotting. Vitamin K causes blood clotting, or helps with clotting of blood. Vitamin K is also good to be used for cancer, but that is the main active in it that gives it these properties. When you are going to use spider webs, you need to make sure there isn't a spider close by. And that it's not in the web somewhere, because they are very territorial, so they will bite you. And you need to make sure that it's clean, there's no debris in it, because this is going into your wound. So those are just the two things you need to be cognizant of. Otherwise, spider webs are amazing wound healers.
Sure.
Okay, when not to use a poultice is when your infection is extremely severe. Okay, I have to say this, that you must go to the hospital. hospital and seek medical attention. However, you now also know how you can equip yourself. So if you can't get there, then you know what you can do. But preferably, if it's too intense, seek medical attention. And that's it for today. So now I'm going to show you how to make these different poultices. Any questions before? Yes, please. Any questions before I continue?
What is the ratio of making the saline? The saline.
Saline. You just need a teaspoon of salt in like 500 ml of water. But again, it needs to be the right salt. Otherwise,
Otherwise it can spike your...
Hi, I wanted to ask, sorry, I've got a bit of a nasal thing going on at the moment. I don't know if there's something that I should be doing for it. Sorry,
vitamin C.
Stevie. Yeah, okay. I wanted to ask about the womb. The womb of a woman. Is there anything that you could recommend for like increasing circulation, maybe with regards to polyps or fibroids or anything, and like unlocking things that need to be broken down in the womb area?
Okay, castor oil would be the best for that. So, but you can add herbs to the castor oil, and there's various herbs that you can use. Try to have a lot of your red fruits. So, your pomegranates, your hibiscus, especially hibiscus. Hibiscus can help a lot with female issues. But what I would recommend is that you use castor oil and you first do naveling, so you throw it in your navel and then you rub it on the area and you put a heat pack or something on it as often as you possibly can. If possible, wear a castor oil pack. So you can buy these packs where you soak it in the castor oil and you put it on the area and you walk it out with it. The longer you keep it on for as many days as possible, the more the castor oil can then penetrate. If you are going to be mixing it with any herb, preferably oil, it will then pull the herb deeper into the area and break up the fibroids or whatever the issue might be.
Sorry, I know we're out of time, but for inflammation in the stomach and gut, gastroenteritis, would a similar remedy be?
Gastroenteritis, yes, but you would need, I would advise you to take slippery elm.
Okay.
It is one of the best herbs for any gut issues. If you don't have slippery elm, salt water normally can also help because it will rebuild your mucosal layer in your stomach. And apple cider vinegar.
Huh.
Because apple cider vinegar helps with GERD, it helps with acid reflux, and so it will also help with that type of thing.
For tummy issues, I like black lemonade. So I take apple cider, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and then a squeeze of lemon juice. So we put the two together, it goes sweet for whatever, it tastes sweeter. And then I just take like not even a whole teaspoon, like a quarter teaspoon of the activated charcoal, add some water, and then just sip it. And it tastes delicious. Even my little boy will drink it. And it helps with all the, especially like when there's tummy pains.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So yeah, it would also help with your gut microbiome because it would be pulling out all the bad bacteria in your gut as well. The thing with lemon is once you ingest it, once it hits your gastrointestinal tract, it becomes alkaline.
Yeah.
So in your mouth, it's an acid, that's why it can damage your teeth. But once it hits your thingy, it becomes alkaline. So that is why it can also help with any tummy issues. Stuff like that. But again, different people are different. So too much of that, and it could be it could become acidic in their stomach. Again.
Now I just do like one glass. Kalau ni terkira ni. Because when your tummy is obviously unwell and everything feels tender and little for little.
What is good for sinuses?
The main thing with sinuses is vitamin C. The more vitamin C you have, the more it counteracts the what is
Sinus passage.
no,
The nasal buildup.
Nasal
no,
passage?
what is
Snot.
The mucus?
the histamine.
Oh.
Also, no, it helps with the histamine.
Oh, histamine. Yeah.
So, also, stinging nettle.
No, let's see.
Stinging nettle activates the histamine so that you can have an antihistamine effect.
Yes.
So take stinging nettle, hit yourself with it, that will cause the antihistamine effect, and then it will rush through the area and help with the sinuses. Also drink it if you can.
Sting nettle.
Stinging nettle. Yeah. It's very nutritious, it's got a lot of good things for you.
Going everywhere.
Okay, so there are various different types of things that you can use when making a poultice. You can use this type of cloth. You want to use something that will retain as much of the plant material without soaking it in too much, right? So you can use this. There's also this. This is a paper towel, but I bought it at the Chinese shop, but it's very thick and stretchy.
So it doesn't soak into that.
Yes.
So you know what I do? I put petroleum jelly onto that.
Oh, okay.
And then onto the poultice.
Oh, okay, lovely.
Because then that, my mum used to call it wet wrap. When you wet wrap something, you first put Vaseline.
Okay, so it would act like beeswax.
Like, yes, onto it. And then, you know what I mean? And
Okay,
then,
there we go. That's a nice thing. So under this, first for any poultice, you would get some cling wrap, right? And you would put that at the bottom. Then you would put your whatever piece of toweling, or you can use an actual cloth. Most people use muslin cloths. You get the actual cloth that you can use, cheesecloth it's called. Or you get these bags, you can use the bag. I'll use it. You get these bags, you can use the bag as well. It's up to you. Many ways to skin a cat. And then you would wrap it onto your skin, and you would put more cling wrap over, because you don't want your clothes to get dirty, and you don't want it to be messy or the water's dripping or whatever. So you would wrap it as much as possible, and then if you need to, sellotape the edges so that it doesn't come apart. That's basically how you would make a poultice. Now I want to show you how to make a pinder this way. Okay, so for example, you would take some herbs. Depending on what the issue is, that is the type of herb you will use. I'm going to take sage and yarrow because we're going to be for some blood circulation and some wound healing. So, and then you can put some cayenne pepper in here also. So
just a pinch.
Yeah.
no, it is up to you how much you want to use. I should have used more to make it more full. And then I'm going to add some salt just to fill it out. But this normally would just be the herbs, but it would be a mixture of different herbs depending on what you want to use it for.
But as she said about putting it in the boiling water, and the salt then dissipates.
So what salt is that? Normal, Epsom.
No, this is coarse sea salt. I think sea salt has like 45 minerals and nutrients. That are what it is. And then you would just close it like this, and then try and fold it in like that, and then fold this over. So there's that type of look. And then I just hold that there over there like that. And then when you come to the edge of the string, you loop it in there. And then you just pull it like that. And you can add as much string as you want to. Obviously, the more sturdy the handle, the better. Because then you can use it better. You can ask questions while we are.
And you could maybe even do like a bigger one for like a bigger area.
Yes, exactly. I'm just making a small one for demonstration purposes, but normally they are like big, like this big, because you want to cover as much of your surface area as possible. Okay, so this basically is the gist of how you do this. Then you can steam it. So I'm going to. Oh, doesn't fit. Okay, so we'll just steam it like that for now. Right? The next one is the bread.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just need to break up the bread like that.
So instead of steaming, why don't you just warm it up in the microwave?
Yes, you can. However, the heat of the water vapor, it does what would have happened in boiling it. So it extracts a lot of the nutrients and actives that you wanted it to if you had boiled it. But we're not going to boil. You can boil it, but because there's salt in there, we're not going to boil it. But we try to mimic the same effect.
But that wheat bread is good for boils also. It
Yes,
extracts
that's what
all
I
that
said.
dirt
You
out.
will use it on boils, abscesses. We'll grow it out and I have to show you the picture. Okay, so once it's like a pulpy, put too much water. So what did I say we use this for?
inflammation and infection. Inflammation and infection.
And redness.
Okay, so then you would just take a bit of this. Say you have a swollen finger or something, and you would put it on like that.
Okay, thank you. So you know this is
And then you would wrap it like that, and you would then put your cellophane over that, your plastic.
Okay.
Okay, and then you would go on with your day. You can keep this on for as long as the issue is there. If you feel that the milk or something has dried out, you can then just maybe add just a little bit more. But by then I think the infection would have drawn out. So that is how you use the one.
Okay.
Okay, next will be.
I'm sorry that I know that it's got some work that I need to do.
Okay, thank you.
But I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I'm enjoying the database as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so as mentioned before, this is yarrow. Sorry, this is feverfew. So feverfew you would use for headaches, for fevers, those types of things. So this is from my garden, and like when the skin is hot or anything like that, you would crush it and macerate it.
Macerate. That's what you need.
And then and then we would take this and put it in there, all the plant material, and then we would add some alcohol. So normally you would just want to cover the plant material. So you want like a 1-to-1 ratio, so as much of the plant material that there is, that is the amount you would use, and then you would let it sit.
Is that ethanol? Sorry, is that ethanol?
No, this is isopropyl alcohol. And this you can find at any health shop.
Yeah.
This came, I don't know if Clicks has, but most shops have that. Okay, we will let that stand. You can use, what is this called? The silver?
Yeah. It's called the silver.
Colloidal. Colloidal silver.
Okay. Okay, so the silver in here, this is gauze. And the gauze, if you can afford it, you can buy that and use it for your poultices. The silver has amazing healing properties. So the silver will sort of knit your skin back together also. It has that type of effect. So whilst it is breathing at the same time. So plasters with silver in, if you use colloidal silver, it helps activate the healing process a lot. So that is something that you can use. Normal gauze you can use. And then your cheesecloth, as I mentioned before, or just any type of cloth that will retain as much of the liquid as possible. Then while that is drawing, I'll show you how to make a liniment. Sorry, not a liniment, a fomentation. I just showed that called liniment. Okay, I think we'll use some plantain for some wound healing. And the thing with dried herbs is, most times if you're going to use it for poultices or tinctures or anything like that, you first have to rehydrate it. Okay, that's very important. So you have to just first soak it. And let it draw. You don't want too much water because you want as much of the active ingredients in the water as concentrated as possible, and you also want the active ingredient on the lid, on the fermentation cloth. So,
Sorry, man. I must leave, man. Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you.
yes,
What time is it closed on the 7th? What time is it starting?
the 7th.
10 o'clock.
Don't you ever?
Oh,
10 o'clock.
next
Yeah.
week.
Yes,
Yeah, what time is
That's
it?
at 11.
11.
11. Oh, okay, thank you. Enjoy
At
people.
the SDA church.
Yes.
The SDA church. The
Yes.
incense one. workshop.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yes.
would like to do that. Yeah. Thank you, man, people. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sandy, I see you use a wooden spoon, or am I wrong?
Yes.
So if you use a silver spoon, will it have some effect?
Well, it depends on what herbs you're using, and we don't have silver spoons like we used to. Now it's coated, and you don't know what all kinds of things it's coated with. So you don't want any leaching into your product. So where you can, try to use a wooden spoon, especially when you're using honey,
Yeah.
because silver or anything might denature some of the actives in there. Okay, and then you would just put it in there. Let it soak up as much as possible. And for most of these things, you don't need like a proper spoon. You can also just buy these sticks. These spoons.
Sticks, yeah.
So, and then you would take this, right? And then you would take your little pieces and you would put it on the wound. And then drenched, you would put that over. Then you would wrap it again with another cloth, maybe another cloth, and then you would put the heat pack over it to retain the heat. That's how you do fermentation. Okay? And remember how I said, how do you do hydrotherapy? You also soak the cloth in your Epsom salts or bicarb or whatever, and then you wrap it on, and then you put plastic over it. Black plastic bag or something, and then you put more towels and a heat source because you want it to penetrate as deep as possible.
So what would you use that for? I know they do it for cancer, don't they? Those.
Hydrotherapy.
Yeah.
Yes. So hydrotherapy, depending on what you are treating and what method of, like you get spritz baths, you get Russian baths, you get different types of hydrotherapy, and that has to do with, it's just a play of hot and cold. Either soaking towels, like for example, if you have a throat infection, you would do a little. You could soak a towel in hot water, put it around the throat, in cold water, put it around the throat, then you would cover it with another piece of towel, and then that would actually heat up a lot, and then you'd actually get very hot. I don't know if you still remember we did that, I don't remember. And then that hot and cold contrasting would actually cause a healing process in the throat for tonsillitis. So again, if you don't have anything, just use your water. Hydrotherapy heals a lot. Okay, so that's how you do fermentation. And then I'm just going to do charcoal and then done. Charcoal is very messy. So, and then also you can add essential oils like peppermint or pine. Pine needle essential oils is very, very good for wound healing. But depending on what the issue is at the time, also you can use tea tree oil, whatever type of essential oil you want to use based on the issue, that you can also use. Also, when dealing with essential oils, you need to be very careful that you don't rub it on your skin. Try to use gloves when dealing with essential oils. Because essential oils is very, very concentrated.
Yeah.
So if it gets on your skin, it could cause liver damage. And you don't want that. So the only essential oils that can go directly on the skin is peppermint, but also not too much, and tea tree oil. Tea tree oil can go directly on. Oh, I can't open this thing.
And lavender.
And lavender, yes, sorry. Those are the only ones that can.
And you must also watch your quantities.
Very much.
Yes,
Because if
quantities
you
is
throw
very
too
important.
much of something, you know, there's the opposite effect
Yes.
of what you.
I made natural underarm. And I put too much essential oils in it that burnt my skin.
Yeah.
So I was walking like this because my skin was burnt. And it's still dark till to today. You don't need a lot, you just need like a little teaspoon.
We had, when we were dealing with essential oils as students, so we got the recipe for to add lemon essential oil because we were all going through cold and flu season. And the girl that was mixing our batch, she thought if you throw more lemon, then it would be better. And obviously that smell was permeating, and there was other students also with their own batches. And you know, from the smell alone, we got sick. We started vomiting.
Wow.
The smell, and obviously we worked with the oil, and we were sick. All of us were sick there because what was supposed to be an immuno protective and stimulant into ons almal gaan oor in die toilet.
Then what is that making now?
Yeah.
I'm making a linseed
So
and
don't use too
charcoal
much.
Oh, linseed and charcoal.
Yeah, follow the
Okay.
recipe.
The poultices.
poultices.
Yeah,
You forget your tongue.
linseed and charcoal. And then teaspoon.
Oh, I feel so sick. What's happening? So after we vomited,
So like I said, charcoal is very messy to work with. And when you are drinking charcoal,
Yes.
preferably drink it with lukewarm water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it pulls it more together
Okay.
and lets it go down easier.
Okay.
So now normally this would be powder, but because we added linseed, it's now a blob.
Okay.
As you can see, it's sticking. And that's what you want. You want the
Okay.
milk on pan.
Okay.
Now what you can do with charcoal, if you're making a batch, so that you can keep it as clean
Yes.
as possible, you put it into a Ziploc bag.
Okay.
This one was too big. But anyway,
Roll it with the rolling pin.
you get the idea.
Okay.
Squeeze all the air out, make it as flat as possible.
Then cut out.
Okay, so now you would cut this and you would cut this.
Okay.
And then you would take the back part off. You can, if it's in a bigger Ziploc bag, you can just cut a small piece off, like that. So let's say you're having a sting, right, or whatever. Then you would only take the back part off,
Okay.
and then
Stick it
that part you would put down like that, and then you would cover it and just make it a lot cleaner and less messy, because like I said, to get charcoal out of anything is a nightmare. So that is the best way to deal with charcoal, and the rest you can then leave in your freezer for when you need to use it again. And that is today's workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you.